Yeah, I was in the office the other day and someone came up to me and they said, Maynard, we need to know more about the High Altitude Atmospheric Research Project, HAARP as it's called. As it would be, we have someone at Newcastle University who has worked on that and has worked on versions of similar things in Australia. Associate Professor Colin, University of Newcastle, in his office. It's great to be here, and it's very... By the way, what is all that stuff on your whiteboard there, by the way? It looks exactly like you would expect in a physics office. Have you solved something?
They're the plans for some of our research. There's a picture up there of the ionosphere and radars and ionospheric heaters, and then over on the right there's a whole set of steps that we need to do some of our computer simulations.
What drew you to physics in the first place? Why is that your specialty? Why did that turn you on at a younger age?
I guess a high school physics teacher, expressed the physics in a way I understood and got me interested and excited about it, so became involved in the space physics side with the group here at Newcastle. And
found yourself working with the North American HAARP array for a while. Now, what are they doing there? You've actually been there and you've done it, so you can tell us.
Yeah, so the HAARP system is in Alaska, and it's basically used for basic ionospheric research. They have a radio frequency transmitter array, and it operates between 2 and 10 megahertz. And the reason why it operates at those frequencies is so that they can deposit the radio energy in the ionosphere at an altitude of 200 to 300 kilometres.
And when they do that, are they doing it for weather prediction? Are they doing it for communication reasons? Or are they doing it for over-the-horizon radar? Exactly what are they doing it for?
Most of it is just pure research in ionospheric physics and how the ionosphere behaves. And it has spin-offs in the communications industry.
But people think, wow, they're pumping all this power up into the ionosphere. It must be having some effect. How much power do they pump up there?
So with HAARP, you're talking about 3.5 megawatts. And the sort of energy that's actually getting deposited in the ionosphere, though, is only microwatts per square metre, which is of the order of 1 million times less than the sort of energy that's going into the ionosphere just from solar processes.
And why do you think people have developed theories about it? Is it because the actual science of it is pretty hard to grasp?
Yeah, it's difficult for me to understand why people have generated some of these funny ideas. Coming from a radio and ionosphere physics background, you're not heating the ionosphere to the level of punching holes in it or anything like that. All you're doing is just stirring up the components, the ionised gas in the ionosphere, in order to study just the basic physical processes as what's going on. And there are joint research projects with HAARP and over-the-horizon radar systems, so that slightly heating the ionosphere at a certain altitude will light up a section of the ionosphere that makes it easier to study using an over-the-horizon radar coming in over the top.
And as someone who knows the area inside out, is it a bit frustrating that the laymen get really worried because they hear terms like heating the ionosphere, they hear that the American Defence Department's into it and that kind of thing, and they think that there's something wacky going on? How can you allay those fears?
Yeah,
because you've been there, you've been to the HAARP array, and you're doing it here in Australia. Yeah, and why would people be thinking that would cause it anyway? Because you're saying it doesn't heat it up much.
That perhaps they think it's secret and they can't get any information from it, which is untrue. They have open days quite regularly. You can go onto the HAARP base without having any security clearance or anything like that. Any international people or even their own citizens, they can visit the HAARP site anytime they want. And the freedom of information of what they do there is phenomenal. They have it on the internet, they'll provide you with it, they'll show you stuff when you go there. Why it's been so many conspiracy theories around HAARP, I'm not sure, considering they also have a similar system in Norway, and it does essentially the same thing. It's an ionospheric heater, but there don't seem to be too many conspiracy theories around ISCAT.
Now, I've seen the chart of when the best time to be operating is for comms. Is it basically at night or midday, or is the best time to do an over-horizon radar and our sort of miniature project, is it pretty much in the morning is the best time for it?
Yeah, well, that depends, as you said, on the ionospheric conditions, any time of day, provided you choose the appropriate frequency.
And would you have a possible time frame for if this experiment goes ahead at Williamstown when that might be done?
Well, that's an interesting question. We were hoping to have some of the equipment going this year into 11, but currently there are some negotiations going on and we're not really sure how that will turn out. hopefully we should be able to get the project moving within 12 months or so.
And for people out there that might want to go somewhere on the internet to find out more about this and what the HAARP Array is about, where should they go?
Well, the first place is the HAARP website. We have a website.
And the whole thing's pretty open. There's nothing being hidden.
No, nothing being hidden, and I'm happy for people to send me emails or chat or answer any questions about any sort of